Hey everybody, welcome to Analog Stick Radio, episode 23. I am your host Mitch, and as always, I am joined by my two favorite people in the entire world. I have over to my left, looking precarious about something, Mr. Christopher. Chris, how you doing today?
I like being called Mr. Christopher.
You're not
So
wearing a
refined.
grad school shirt, so...
No, I'm really tired. We didn't have my grad school thing that I'd usually do on Tuesday nights. I didn't have that tonight. So, all yours, babies.
So we can safely
God.
say that he owns at least 2 T-shirts.
I do.
You now know. The t-shirt count is
100%.
up to 2. Mark it down. And then over to the
It's aperture.
to the lower of me is what I was gonna say. To the below me.
That's where I hang.
I have Mr. Dakota. It doesn't have as much of a ring. Mr. Dakota, how are we doing today?
It doesn't. But I'm good anyway. I'm still a good mister.
Awesome. Let's talk about what we did today. Chris, I think you started it last time, or maybe I did. I'm gonna throw it downtown to Dakota.
What did I play this week? Well, actually, I got 2 games to talk about. I'll try to be quick about them, but I wanted to tell you about Firewatch. I did play through and beat Firewatch.
How was it?
How was it?
Man, I'm really conflicted about this game. So it was more of a walking simulator. Yeah, it was more of a walking simulator than I realized, but that was okay. It is pretty much just about the narrative that you get to experience, and you get to do a lot of choicing. You get to do a lot of choicing about. Yes, that's the one, about the things your character says and the relationship that your character has with an NPC is really interesting. I was into it, but I'm the kind of guy, like I like movies a lot, so that was definitely my kind of thing. That said, the arc of the plot, it really had me, man. It really had me, and then the ending did not do it for me. And I won't say any specifics about it, but it was one of those ones where I found it quite anticlimactic.
That is unfortunate.
And people that have played it, I'll say people that have played it might think, well, he just didn't get it. I get it. I get the message they were delivering, just didn't enjoy it.
I get it, guys.
The other game, of course, was...
Watch.
He's watching the fires!
He's a timepiece maker.
So the other game that I played was, of course, Street Fighter 5. It's practice mode Fighter 5. Unfortunately, the online is not working yet. They've had intense problems, as they often do, with online games. They're not ready for the flood of people that get in there on their servers. And so the latest news is that they're bringing the servers down, I think, right now, and they should be back up in 2 hours, and hopefully they'll work then. Otherwise, I haven't done a lot of Street Fighting.
We should get a lot of viewers then, right?
Yeah.
No one's playing Street Fighter, so
they should all be right here. That's right.
Awesome. Chris, what did you play this week?
This week, well, I played some laser tag.
Oh, we can talk about that, right? That's basically video games.
We our friend had a bachelor party this weekend, and during the daytime, we went up to a place in Orlando called Hard Knocks, and they have it's called Indoor War. And it's basically, they give you a bunch of badass assault rifles and shotguns, all like laser guns.
Shotguns? Does it actually change the way that the projectile shoots?
Every time you shoot, you have to hit reload. It's a big wide spread. Every time you shoot, you have to hit reload, and it's a while to reload. But it's like a closer shot, and it was awesome.
That's super rad.
There were 2 arenas at the place we went to. They had an office arena and a warehouse arena, and they gave you different missions. One of the missions was great. It was only unlocked if you had a bachelor party there, where they had 2 teams, right? And each team had 8 people in the time we played. And then there were the 2 teams, and then there was the bachelor, right? Yeah. And the bachelor was able to get two vests and 2 weapons, right? So it's kind of like he had 2 lives. And he was also able to pick 2 bodyguards. So I was one of the bodyguards, and one of my other friends was a different bodyguard. And so basically the objective of the game was the bachelor either had to live, or the other 2 teams had to get the last hit on the bachelor for their team to win.
You had a certain amount of lives, like each person did.
Every time you get shot, you have 7 hits before you're out. So that was exciting.
That's cool,
Of course, I was killed by the other bodyguard on our team.
In classic fashion.
Friendly fire, huh?
Yeah.
Friendly fire's in.
Yeah.
Oh, friendly fire
fire
was on. I killed so many people with a laser shotgun. It's not even fair. It's
Awesome.
not a thing.
Good.
yeah, that
Side
was a lot of
note,
fun.
for the real video game I played, as mentioned, Crypt the Necrodancer. I started that last week. I was playing a little bit. But my new one, I played Broforce.
Oh, yeah.
You guys seen it?
Yes,
Oh my
you have
god.
been
Showed us a little bit of that.
It's an indie game. There's not a lot of depth in there. It's just straight up kind of like Contra style where you're running across the screen. You get it's a one-shot kill, you're dead, and then your lives, you just switch to different bros. Like they have Ram Bro, the Command Bro. They have
They had Brohard.
Yeah, Brohard. They
Yeah.
had Brohard. One of my favorite is Mr. Anderbro. They took because they couldn't make Neo into having a bro name, so the agent always calls Mr. Anderson. So Mr. Anderbro, that's
Awesome.
a really good one.
Awesome.
But it's a lot of fun. It's just if you want to sit down and just shoot up some dudes and America, that's the game.
America.
That's the game for you right there. If you like America and shooting up dudes, that is your game. I actually dove headfirst into Season 2 of Rocket League. My roommate just got Rocket League. He's heard me yell about it all the time. And he's like, Mitch, I just got Rocket League. So I was like, well, now we have to play all the time.
All right.
And Season 2 just started. There's a ranking. I don't want to brag.
What'd you
but
get?
In twos, I'm already Challenger 1. So
Is that the gold color?
it's the one above the gold color. It's like
Nice.
there's bronze, silver, gold,
And
Challenger.
it's like a bluish, but it's basically platinum level.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm working my way up there. It's a lot of fun. I can feel the balance changes actually working. Like I feel like I'm playing against people that are of the same level as me. It doesn't feel like I'm just like either getting completely creamed or just pouncing all over like really, really small children.
So your quality, average match quality is just better.
Oh, much better, yeah.
Sweet.
Much better.
That's excellent
Also,
news.
a lot more people are conceding, which is weird.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Forfeits.
I noticed that in the placement matches, people were conceding. I'm like, what are you doing? These are important.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that you have to have a placement match for each ranking. Like, I wish I had an overall ranking. That's kind of annoying.
It gets a little old, isn't it? And I wish they also had some sort of feedback after the match, even if it was simple as just a little green arrow up or a red arrow down.
Yeah, it's just like current ranking.
Yep, and there's no movement. It just looks totally static. It doesn't have a lot of user experience feedback for your movement.
I'm sure
but
there's
whatever.
shit going on behind the scenes.
Right, you just have no idea. You're left in the dark.
I don't know what it is though. Yeah, but yeah. So, anyways, let's move on to the main topic. We're talking a lot about indie games today, so let's move on. All right, so today the main topic is going to be indie games. We're going to break them down. As huge fans of indie games as we all are, we're just going to really, really dissect them. But let's first, as always, if we're going to talk about something, let's define it. Now, let's not start a bickering match here, Chris. Let's talk about what is an indie game. Now, I'm going to give you my definition of an indie game. Independent video games are video games created by individuals or small teams, generally without video game publisher financial support.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say my definition, I really meant the internet's definition, but that's exactly what I think of when I think of an indie game, so I'm glad that it agreed with me. Chris, thoughts? Do you agree, disagree? Where do you disagree, and why?
I agree. I mean, if you want to get technical, indie game is an independent developer. You know, they don't have to worry about a publisher like Valve. You could consider them indie.
Yeah.
Aren't they kind of their own publisher now, though?
Yeah.
Like, haven't they become a publisher?
Yeah, but they're also independent. But we don't have to go into that. Usually when we think of indie games, we think of small, man-made, like little self-made titles. Like you think of Minecraft, indie game. Mm-hmm. You think of I don't know, a bunch of little title, not a lot of people involved. Doesn't have big publisher support. That's what I think when I think indie game.
Right. And yeah, so it's like all these little elements. No publisher money, small team. The other big one that we haven't mentioned yet is not only independent from the money, but independent from the suits making decisions about the game. The game design is completely encapsulated and up to just the people invested in the game itself, not the sales of the game. And so that's another quality. It's kind of like It's kind of like the Supreme Court definition of pornography. You'll know it when you see it. It's kind of nebulous, but it's kind of all of these things put together. We know what we mean when we say indie game, I think.
Right. I like to think of it as like your mom and pop Italian, restaurant. That you go around the corner and they don't have to answer to any sort of franchise. They're just their own little thing. They get to put the specials out that they want. They get to make the food the way that they want it, and they get to charge whatever they want.
Exactly.
It's not like
Carrabba's.
Outback Steakhouse or like Carrabba's or anything like that.
I like
they have
Carrabba's.
set prices. I like Carrabba's too, but I also love
what are we
mom and pop.
talking about? Yeah.
Anyways,
it's a good analogy.
It's a good analogy. So now let's talk about this. Very recently, indie games have surged in popularity. Like, they have skyrocketed. I would say that they're on par with AAA games at this point. Why are we getting so popular? Like, why are we, when I say we, indie games, why are they getting so popular? Chris?
Why are they getting so popular? Why did they get so popular, right? Like, they got...
That's another way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, like...
Why did they get so popular?
I mean, the first thing I could think of in terms of indie, I don't even think it was an indie game. The first time I kind of thought about it was Geometry Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
right?
god!
Like back in like early 2000s,
Holy
like 2000.
Shit.
Yeah, dude, that's the first time, because I felt like at that time, if people don't know, it was kind of just like a little shooter, like a bullet hell-y type thing. Think of like Asteroids, but a little different, right? It came out on the Xbox 360 in what they had as the what they call it, like the arcade, the Xbox arcade, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt like that opened up the door to a lot of these smaller titles that Xbox kind of wanted to have a different way to distribute these smaller games so they can make more revenue and have a different way that people could buy games, right? So I felt like a lot of indie, that's where the popularity of these indie developers started. Because that was even, well, Steam had been out for a while by then, but it wasn't really the behemoth we think of now. But
right.
Back then, like, I feel like the Xbox arcade kind of was the way that people first saw independent games come to rise. And I think that's how they got so popular, because of that distribution method.
So I think it's a little wider than that, but I think that Xbox Live Arcade is a specific example of what I was going to say, which is just digital distribution.
Yeah,
right.
Indie games.
That's what I was going to say. Digital distribution coming out of the forefront, it just led the way for indie games to just be an actual, thing.
I think the first like real collective curated group of indie games was like Congregate or other websites like it, Flash games.
Right.
Kids were making Flash games.
Black Sheep and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, eBaum's World, all these kind of like websites that curated all these dumb little things that people can make in their free time. And that's kind of what these indie games are at their root, is little things that people can make in their free time. They quit their day job. They risk taking, quitting their day job.
But when people talk about today indie game, I've never thought about like a Flash game or like a Newgrounds game as an indie game.
Right.
I mean,
I'm saying that's kind of where they came from now, because that back in the day, those were your only widely available channels of digital distribution. Now, all three platforms, all mainstream platforms, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, offer digital distribution. And so now it's way easier to find them wherever you look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually on the same page as you. I actually hadn't thought about it like that, but yeah, that's where they came from, is just doing... Basically, they took something that was like a PC exclusive and put it on console, and now you have... indie games in every direction, which is pretty amazing. I'm super excited about it. Do you have any examples of like specifics that you can think of, Dakota, like from eBaum's World?
Yeah,
I have a specific one in my head. There was this game called Fishy that I used to play on eBaum's World. That was like you played as this tiny little fish, and we've seen this concept in it's actually the Osmos concept. I was talking about this game not too long ago. You're this big, you can only eat fish that are smaller than you, and then you slowly eat them and get bigger. And
okay.
Like, I love that game, and so that's like the first thing I can think of as far as like an indie game in that sense, as far as like the Congregate Newgrounds style. What about you?
One that came to mind was Cannibalt, which I know did start out as a Flash game, and then it became an iOS game afterwards. The Endless Runner. Chris, did you know that the music's also done by the Meat Boy guy?
No, actually, I didn't.
Yeah, it's another one of those. And I think Von Beer's Ridiculous Fishing began as a Flash game, I think, and that became an iOS game as well. Von Beer goes on to make a bunch of sweet titles, including like Nuclear Throne just this year, Luftrausers. Those are a couple of instances where you can literally see the movement from Flash title to mobile title when that becomes easier to develop for and all that.
Man,
right. So now, where? Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say I can't imagine. You're mentioning those games. I can't even think that far back to when my first indie experience. I'm thinking back, and I think my first indie game experience was on Shockwave.com.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
when was the last time you heard that? Back, man.
Wow.
Oh, I guess you could also say one of my favorite old indie game experiences is probably Penguin Chat.
Oh yeah, you told us about that.
Oh God!
Disturbingly rapey chat game you played.
Yeah.
No, you guys made it that. It was normal, fun chat.
We didn't make it that. The
snowball
pedophiles made it that. We did not have anything.
Chad
to do with
Bochill
that,
made it that.
Yeah.
Chad Bochill.
All right, so let's talk about where have these indie games thrived, and more specifically, why? Why were those mediums the mediums in which they thrived? Chris, give me some examples here.
We kind of talked about it. We talked about digital distribution, anything that you could distribute digitally, which has become all the consoles and of course PC, right? Before we used to just
everything now. Literally, any
we used to
medium of gaming is digital distribution.
Because we used to have to buy the box, and the CD, everything that went into creation. And back in the day when you bought the box, it wasn't just you bought the box and the disc, and then there's that little promo code for, hey, buy this extra skin online because you pre-ordered or something. There was an actual manual in it, right? And there was a storyline
in forever.
I know. So a lot of people who wanted to create, even if it wasn't these couple kids and at their mom's house making a little fishy game, but people wanted to make a legit, more substantive game. They couldn't really go through a packing process. They couldn't make a physical copy to give to people. So this, I feel on the PC right away, once the internet started getting big, this is where it started to thrive, really. I think Xbox was one of the first people to jump on that digital distribution bandwagon. I'm probably wrong, but like I said, to me, I think that digital distribution started, and Xbox Arcade was the first one to really bring it out. So they've thrived in the consoles and in the PC space.
Yeah. And now, why do you think this is? Just because of the digital distribution? I think it has a lot to do with also the price point. Indie games are a lot cheaper than shelling out. Before it used to be I think I remember playing 40, 45. Then it was 50, and maybe 60 now. Jesus, I can't shell out $60 for every game I play.
It's always been 60, dude.
No,
it hasn't always been 60.
No, it was 50.
I remember being shocked the first time I
Super
spent
Nintendo
$60.
games, the N64 was 50, but some Super Nintendo games, I think I remember going up to $60.
Yeah, and even for the time, if you consider inflation, games used to be a lot more expensive now, which is funny because I've heard that as an argument, stop whining about $60 games. They used to be way more expensive back then. But Mitch is right. 10 years ago, there was at some point it was standardized at 50. And I remember with this latest generation of console, they're okay, guys, now it's got to be 60. And everybody's what the fuck?
Yeah, and I get it though. The quality of the games has gone up. PlayStation games are exclusively printed on DVDs now. So I understand the need for it to go up a little bit, the cost. But still, it's just you can't be expected to shell out $60 for every single game you're gonna buy. At least that's why indie games appeal to me a lot. Is because I can have this experience in a $5 price point, which is awesome. That's fantastic. You're not gonna get that anywhere else. So
yeah,
yeah.
It's low risk, even if it's bad.
Exactly.
I only spent $5, and that's how I feel about Overwatch. It was only $20 in 4 hours, and it wasn't bad. It just wasn't the best game I played, but I would say it was worth that amount of money. And there you go. That's an indie game.
Oh, Firewatch.
Firewatch. Did I?
You said Overwatch.
I said Overwatch.
I was
very confused as well.
What? Firewatch. Yeah, I think we mentioned. Coming from they've thrived now because of the access, the distribution access, and I think kind of part and parcel to that is how easy it is to develop them now. Tools like Unity, huge, man. They're so easy to work with. Like the framework itself does so much of the work for you that you used to have to do manually. And so developing games is easier than it's ever been. And everybody's fucking doing it, which is sweet.
You know what was interesting? Before indie games even got big, people used to do it a lot for free. I remember Unreal Tournament 2004, one of my favorite games. That Unreal engine, everybody created so many mods for that game. An unbelievable amount of mods. If you go back, I don't know, it's probably in the thousands, easily, the amount of mods and games that people made off that. So I feel like once people were able to realize, like, hey, this little hobby I do, modding things and using these engines, we can make a profit off of. Like, we could actually sell it in a marketplace.
Right.
That definitely helped change it. I think the modding community kind of transformed into the indie game community.
Sure, and they no longer had to go through these very narrow channels of I'm writing mods for game X or game Y. It's like, no, I can do anything I want and release it on any platform I want.
And actually get money for it.
Yeah, totally. Maybe it's even hopefully, yeah. I mean, it might be even a cultural thing, man. Like, just, this is going to sound silly, but as humans evolve, like, we are becoming more technologically minded. So, like, they're sticking iPads in front of second graders in school now, and like I told you guys before, I've got my 10-year-old niece who's asking me how to make games. That's fucking weird. Like, a 10-year-old girl wants to know how to make games just because she's exposed to technology in such a constant fashion. So shit, man, I think that has something to do with it.
I think it actually, speaking about like our evolving culture, I think it actually has a lot to do with the fact that we've kind of entered an era of instantaneous gratification. And if you look at the indie game, I mean, it's normally a lot shorter than the normal AAA game. You're not going to play an indie game for 60-plus hours normally. Now, in the case of Rocket League, it's just the greatest holy grail game I've ever fucking played in my entire life. Or in the case of like Minecraft, like there are extremities, obviously, but for the most part, it's going to be like Firewatch.
Outliers. You meant that.
Outliers, whatever.
We knew what he meant.
There are extremes. There are extremes and extremities and extremes on the extremities. But most of the times, it's going to be like Firewatch or Limbo or Braid, where you're going to play it maybe once, maybe twice, and you're going to have a great time both times, but it's really only going to get you like 8 hours to play. And I think that's something that is really appealing to the current generation of gamers. It's like, it's not only low risk on the cost side, it's low risk on the time side. You don't have to dedicate that much of your time to have this experience, and that's awesome.
I disagree about the time thing. Like, it's not about time. Like, I don't need instant gratification of beating a game in a short time.
You don't.
It just.
You're part of the generation. That's what I'm saying. This generation, like the 16-year-old us is now, they don't want to play WoW. They don't want to grind forever. They don't like, what is that phrase you guys always like to use? Like the dungeon crawl, the
roguelike?
They don't like roguelike dungeon crawlers. They want like a game that's gonna like, they want to be able to beat a game and then be done with it. That's what I think. Personally, that's just my opinion on it.
I can understand that sentiment, but I don't agree with it at all. I think they're popular because they're popular because less of that, but more that there's so many games out, right? Back when we played, there were only a couple that we got at a time that were good. Now, like, I have no time to even look at all these games. Like, there's so many freaking good games out there. I have to pick and choose. The kid nowadays who still has disposable income can throw out, be like, all right, indie game here. Like, I could see what the coolest thing, what everybody's doing, so they could go and keep going. So it's good at that price point and that level, so they could still be relevant while enjoying themselves. I think it's more has to do with that.
I mean, it's everything. It's all. It's
everything.
All the pieces fit into.
I think these are all right answers.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer here. So let's talk about their impact now on the gaming industry, because impact is a very lightly used word, or is putting it lightly. Indie games have just smacked the game industry in the face. Now let's talk about, do we think that indie games are actually causing like a legitimate threat to the AAA market here? Chris, I'm gonna toss this one over to you.
Go ahead.
Do I think that indie games have a little? Yeah. I think, well, yes and no, right? I definitely think it changed the way that AAA games have to make or AAA developers have to make their games, right? Like people don't want the explosions and like huge epic storylines anymore. They still do want them, but indie games provide like extra stories, different risks that the AAAs haven't taken yet, right? So they have to change the way that they approach games. They can't approach it for the dude bros that are 20 to 30 anymore. They have to approach it also from the everybody else who also plays games, right? They're not trying to just hit the certain demographic. They have to hit the demographic while also being like, oh, video games are changing. People are expecting more in the way of story, more in the way of innovative gameplay. So I think it affects them in that way, where it has them double look about what they're going to do.
Right,
Sure.
and it also, I think it forces them to take a look at their game and say, like, is this an actual quality game? Right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't give a shit how fancy schmancy your fucking game looks anymore. Like, a game like Braid, that game is very simple. It doesn't look, like, extremely pretty or anything like that, and the gameplay mechanics aren't, like, extremely dynamic, but the game itself, you can just tell that these developers, they took the time out to, like, fine-tune these intricacies and make the game an actual game, not just, like, a bunch of action and explosions and pretty graphics and shit.
Yeah,
like,
that I remember a game the V game.
Oh yes.
I played that. I played the crap out of that, man. Like that was really like basic in the way it's presented. That was a legitimate like 8-bit game. There wasn't really too much. It was either you move forward, you move back, and if you press spacebar, you change the gravity so that your character either stands on the bottom floor or stands on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Right.
And like people, that was an amazing game at the time. It got huge. People weren't expecting any Call of Duty level performances out of the little blip blops, but
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that AAA industries have to deal with. These simple games that are able to enthrall large groups of people by just how good they are, by their quality.
Right. Dakota, you haven't said anything about this yet. What are your thoughts here?
I agree with what you said. I think that it puts pressure on large studios to reflect and make sure that they're actually delivering a solid product instead of some annualized, same old garbage.
Cough. Call of Duty cough.
Yes, Call of Duty. That said, I mean, do
Like-
indie games actually cause a legitimate threat to the AAA industry? No. I mean, as much as I would love that to be the fact, because it would mean that we don't have I don't want to say lazy, because all developers are hardworking, but not innovative, not thoughtful, annualized cash grabs like Call of Duty. Let me take it aside and say, at least thank God that this latest Call of Duty title did something radically different. Let me just go ahead and say that.
It's incredible. I'm like, as much as I'm bashing Call of Duty, I played the shit out of this one.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. So that said, though, let me tell you the top selling games for January. Number 1, Call of Duty. Number 2, GTA 5. So I'm going to put that in kind of another camp. But 3 through 4, 3, NBA 2K16. Number 4 is Star Wars Battlefront. And number 5 is Fallout 4. Of those top 5, they're all sequels-ish. Star Wars Battlefront being no, that's a sequel too. They're all sequels.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
And I would say that 4 out of the 5 of them, all 4 except for GTA 5, are just kind of the same fucking shit. The annualized goddamn title. And GTA 5 is the only one that, no, that's not true either.
It's close, and it's even close. It's not even that.
It's not
much different than
annualized,
the
but
other
it's pretty similar
It's
to
still
the regular
similar
formula.
to exactly.
They didn't
You're
really
not getting
do
too
it. They
much
didn't
different.
shake it up at all.
Right.
It's
So-
online. That's it.
Yeah, which is a big deal. But point being, there are no indie titles in the top 5. They're all huge AAA titles. That's what we are of a niche, and I don't think it's hard for us to kind of reflect and realize that. And anybody that's going to listen to a gaming podcast, I think, is also kind of that niche where they're just aware of the smaller titles that are out there and all the the Firewatch, the Fez, the Braid. But these are the games that most people are buying still.
Well, now when you say top selling, just to clarify, is this like top grossing or top number of sales?
I don't actually know. It's the NPD numbers.
Because-
I'm not sure what they represent.
Because think about it, if every
cost
Call of
more,
Duty
right.
game costs $60 and every Fez game costs $2 on a Steam sale, well, yeah, no shit.
Sure.
I mean, but
that's
still, I guarantee
I'm sure
they're
it's
not
not
pulling
even
the
close
same
still,
numbers.
but I was just curious.
Yeah.
I was curious if it was gross sales or just number of sales. No, I mean, and that's another thing that I think I don't agree that it's going to be a legitimate threat either. I just think now we have two camps basically. It was basically like when Xbox came out. It wasn't like Xbox was boxing out PlayStation or Nintendo. It was just like, oh, now we have another one. Okay, that's cool. That's pretty much how I see it as is now. I think it's definitely making AAA developers try harder with their titles, hopefully. But I don't think that it's gonna ever. I don't think we're ever gonna like see indie games overtake AAA games by any means.
Mhm.
I just think they're gonna start. I think they're gonna start merging though. I think you're gonna start seeing like AAA indie titles, which is a weird statement because it's kind of an oxymoron. But I just think I think we're gonna start seeing AAA developers take pages out of indie developer books.
They already have games like
yeah.
Journey on the PS3, I think. PS3.
That was
Journey
big.
was on the PS3. It's on the PS4 too. Like there's one
Yes.
for the PS4.
The
as well.
the new one. I don't remember what it's called. Knit or something on the PlayStation. Tangled, Untangle.
Yep.
That one's very indie. The Sackboy game. You have even Nintendo kind of got into the indie the Twitch streamy type deal with the Mario Maker. If
That's
you
true.
think about it, like
That's
everybody
kind of
wants to
an indie
create
style
and think.
game.
That's very indie. Like they gave up the purity of Mario and like creating those levels to give the creation to everyone else out there.
Somebody makes a good point in chat though. The most profitable game of all time, is Minecraft. Minecraft is an indie game. Now, keep in mind though too, it wouldn't have been for the availability through digital distribution on platforms for that to be possible, and it's because of things like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network that we can distribute an indie game like that to everybody, and it's got huge reach.
Oh, not only that, but also the Apple Store. Like it took off on the iPad. Like I saw kids playing Minecraft on the iPad all the time.
Yeah,
when I used
man.
to fix those.
Totally.
That was like their jam, and I thought it was stupid when I first started. But I was like, this is a lot harder than the computer. This sucks.
Yeah, and
But
I remember
kids
when
eat
it
that
came out,
shit
like
up.
it was several cycles behind the PC version. I'm like, these fucking idiots playing an old version of Minecraft. But
No. We're
here's
the
fucking Notch
idiots
sitting
'cause
on his
We didn't. Yeah, Notch is like, yeah, whatever. He's just
sitting on his
throne of money.
Throne of money, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about the challenges for indie developers in this current industry. Dakota, this seems like something that you would really have a lot to say about, being kind of a developer yourself. What are some of the challenges that you think indie developers face?
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand with how easy it is to make games. Your games have to be really good. Otherwise, they're just going to be lost in the sea of shit. There's just, I mean, take you mentioned the App Store, iOS App Store as an example, a little microcosm. There are good games for the iPhone, but there are 70 million pieces of shit you've never heard of and never will and never want to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge. I mean,
for every
it's just cool.
Candy Crush, there's 100 million shit crushes.
Exactly. Just total carbon copies, and that's good, man. It's almost
Sweet
like
Smash.
Sweet Smash.
Made that one up.
It's just like when you have think about the MMO scene where it's pretty much just Warcraft. Occasionally another game will come and offer something else that Warcraft doesn't have that's really good, and Warcraft will be like, that's a good idea. We will borrow that forever. And now Warcraft is better for it.
Yeah.
In the same way, when you've got a lot of competition, it just makes the competition higher, and therefore the quality of the games that get produced are hopefully higher. At least the ones that you want to download and buy and play.
I agree with you completely. Chris, any thoughts on this? Challenges for indie developers?
I completely agree. I also think indie developers have a tough time, sifting through all that crap, getting their name out there. Usually we'd like to think that the quality will always be seen, and I think for most cases they are. I can't think of any off the top of my head where there's. I mean, if I did, everybody would probably know. Like if there's a gem in the rough out there, but you have to have a lot of self promotion out there. That's one of the big things that indie developers don't have, that the AAA, they have a marketing team, right? They have people pushing it. They're talking to game journalists. They're talking all over the place. They're getting the name out there. Indie developers, besides having to spend all of their waking hours trying to make this game, they have to also market it themselves. Try and be like, hey, Kotaku, Destructoid, all these places, hey, I'm making this game along with everybody else who's trying to talk to them about it, right?
I mean, and that's going to be your biggest challenge. However, I will say, as a kind of a quick aside, like, the internet does do a good job of filtering out the shit and rising to the top, like, the actual good games. Like, I can't think of a game that I was looking up a bunch of, like, best indie titles, or like indie titles you should be playing, and I was like, yeah, I played all those. Yeah, or at least know what they are. Like, I've either played them or know what they are. So I think for the most part, the internet does a very good job of letting the shit rise to the good stuff rise to the top, rather.
Well, again, that's the ones that we know. That's the ones that sold a lot. You know,
I mean, that would be an interesting little adventure. Some digging to see if there are any that just never got seen.
I doubt, but there is that possibility.
So let's.
What other challenges?
What's that?
Can you think of any?
I
what
can't
other
think of
challenge?
My two were just going to be, programmability. Not having a big team just puts a lot of pressure on everybody's shoulders.
That's a good point.
Like you have probably people doing like 4 or 5 different jobs. You have your marketing director who's also like your main code tester, and he's also designing graphics and shit. Like, he's probably just doing everything, and he's not eating. And if he is, it's terrible food. So I mean, it seems very hectic.
It's all Hot Pockets. It's all Hot Pockets.
Yeah, it's mostly Hot Pockets. Yeah,
conversely,
exactly.
the Hot Pocket market has thrived because
really
indie development scene.
You know, I got
Hot
hit by the
stock
WoW,
rising.
the drop in WoW players for a while there, but I'm glad the indie market's bringing it back up.
Yeah, you're welcome, Hot Pocket market. You're welcome. So let's talk about the strength of indie games, and I have a lot to say about this because I absolutely love indie games for this specific reason. I would say that one of the main reasons that indie games, or one of the biggest strengths that they have, is that we've talked about it earlier in the podcast, they're honing in on like one thing. And so they get to just look at that one thing that their game is doing and just make it the best fucking one thing ever. You look at a game like Braid, where you can kind of, if you've never played, this isn't a spoiler, but like you get the ability to just go back in time a few seconds to where you were, but like a ghost of you is still running around or whatever. And like they take that concept and they just do some weird shit with it that you never would have thought of. Yeah. And that is something that they have the ability to do because they don't have to focus on anything else. That's it. That's the whole fucking game.
I mean,
just like you said, Chris, with that game V, the whole game is up or forward, backward, or change gravity. So that's it. Controls are good. Now they just have to focus on creating amazing levels that just blow your mind with that.
I mean, the same could be said, though, for AAA games. Prince of Persia. That's all that is about using time travel.
No, but they got to focus a lot on graphics and a lot on, like, a bunch of
Yeah, but their time travel in that was great. Like, they did the backwards in time. They did the forward, the fast forwarding. I mean, it's got to be more than... Like, I think that what you're trying to say, I agree with, is that because they have a great idea, they're able to run with it much further. They're able to take a risk and go with that idea, as opposed to a AAA game, which is going to have to be like, oh, yeah, we want to do that, but we also have to spend money on making this music from this composer and like tightening up the graphics, as opposed to just focusing solely on the aspects of that gameplay mechanic.
Well, I was just saying it's a strength, It's just like one of the things that the indie developers get to do that like AAA titles don't get to do.
Or even if they do, that the indie titles are going to be especially strong in that department. What I have written down, I think, is the same thing: is rapid iteration of ideas due to a faster development cycle, because they're probably exactly. So they can iterate and perfect and completely explore all permutations of an idea, because probably there aren't very many ideas in the game. You have a game like take a game like Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a lot going on in that game. I mean, it's a stealth game at its core, but I mean, there's so many systems and subsystems and pieces that they don't get to explore every single permutation of every single subsystem. Some of them they get to explore a lot of, but It's only in games like, as Mitch pointed out, where they said, okay, time travel, we're going to do every fucking time travel idea possible in this one game. And Jonathan Blow did the same thing with The Witness, where it's like, okay, we're just going to draw lines on a grid. That's the puzzle. But we're going to do every fucking lines on grids puzzle anybody could ever think of and put it in this one game.
And we're going to blow your mind because we can take this one thing and put it under a microscope and do as many of the best ones we can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I really did find myself playing that game going, God damn, that's clever. Like, I can't believe they thought to do that with this.
Yeah.
Right.
I like to see that kind of, it's fun kind of looking at this idea and putting it over, superimposing it over Portal, right?
Yeah.
That's a AAA title, but it's a 2-hour one where they just do everything with the Portal. They just focused on all the different things you could do with this Portal gun, using the velocity, where you do it, the puzzling. So I agree. Like the small team and the small focus helps them hone in on that.
God, I remember the first time I was playing Portal and I realized that they were going to use the velocity aspect of jumping through portals from different heights, and that shit blew my fucking mind. I was like, oh my God, I never would have even thought of that. These men are geniuses. Men or women, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be sexist.
Yeah.
So what are some other strengths that you guys think that they have as an indie developer?
I like the strength that we're able to get a lot of certain kinds of genres that the AAA titles aren't giving us. Like, for instance, I really like roguelike games. Games where you have a procedural, dungeon, usually has random stuff in it, and then your character, if you die, you die. But as you go, you could get, random different items. That's my idea when I think of a roguelike. Like Binding of Isaac, the Crypt of the Necrodancer, for instance. These roguelike games, I don't see a lot of them in AAA space. It's another game I don't see a lot of AAA space. A lot of puzzles, right? A lot of puzzle games. They lend themselves really well. Really well to the indie space, right? I mean, there are some AAA when they do it well. Freaking Professor Layton, right? Like, that's unbelievable. But I could easily see that style being replicated in the indie space. Maybe not with the care, just in a different way. But I like the amount of puzzling we could do.
No, I agree with you. And puzzling really lends itself to indie games. I mean, you look at games like that VVVVVV game. That's a puzzle game at its core. You look at this Jonathan Blow game. That's a puzzle game at its core. You look at a game like Bit Trip Runner. It doesn't seem like a puzzle game, but it's just a puzzle. It's when to hit the things, when to do this, when to do that. It's a puzzle, and you got to figure it out. Braid itself is a puzzle game, but it's this really wacky, weird time traveling puzzle game. So I like that. Yeah, they get to hit some different aspects of gaming that we don't get from AAA titles because they're probably just too broad. Dakota, what are some strengths of indie games that we haven't mentioned yet?
Well, you mentioned it a couple 20 minutes ago, but the low play investment in time and money, I think that's worth a mention again.
I have that one here too. Yeah, low longevity.
Yeah, right. You don't have to. It's a good to maybe slip in an indie game here and there in between some big ass AAA titles that you want to play. Like, I was between The Witcher and Fallout. I'm like, I gotta play a couple other things before I get invested in this huge fucking game again.
Right, and they get the ability to be kind of minimalist. They focus on these tiny, small intricacies that, I mean, AAA games sometimes do. You'll see it all the time, like little Easter eggs or tiny little stupid things that you just see it and you're like, oh, it's really cool that they did that. But that's every indie game I've ever played, every good indie game I've ever played is you're just like, oh, it's really cool that they fucking did this. They get to focus on just building the worlds, and they give you this in-depth experience in a lot of a short amount of time. Now, we've talked about strengths. What are some of the weaknesses? I'm going to go off and say they don't use a lot of time. It's a short amount of time. You've got to cram as much shit into this 4-hour play as you possibly can. You got to trim a lot of fat, I'm assuming.
Yep, that's true. You got to I mean, that's good design anyway, to try to keep your idea refined, trim the fat, that kind of stuff.
Dakota, what are some other weaknesses of indie games?
Weaknesses, your art fidelity is going to be lower than and not quality, but fidelity. I know some people have an affinity for lower res, 8-bit, 16-bit throwback graphics. That's fine. The fidelity, though, is just going to be lower because you're probably not going to hire an artist. Or if
Right,
you
I
do,
agree.
you might hire a 16-bit artist instead, because it's probably easier to manipulate sprites if you're going to make a 2D game than it is to do 3D models in a 2D space.
And
So yeah,
sometimes that might work out for you, and make you billions and billions of dollars if you use
Right.
that type of art style. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
it could end up where I'm talking about Minecraft. But anyways, Chris, what are some weaknesses that we haven't mentioned?
I was thinking, you know what? Maybe like bartering power, right? Between the developer and the different consoles. They can't argue to have like their game on their marketplace for certain prices. Sometimes they might, you see some indie games being sent over to like PlayStation, for instance, exclusively, right? Maybe they don't want to be on just PlayStation. Maybe they want to be on Steam. Maybe they want to be on everything. But then they try and get on one platform, and they realize how expensive it is maybe to get a license to go on that platform. And they realize, well, you know what? Maybe we might have to just be exclusive here, lose out on some sales, maybe exclusive for a short amount of time. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and Chris, you also mentioned it there. I mean, I think profitability is a lot lower. You know, I mean, if your indie game is being sold on Steam for $2, how much are you really making? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to make as much money as like a AAA title who's going to be able to sell their game for $60 a pop. So, I mean, I think that's a huge weakness there, is that you're not going to make as much profit, you know, as some other big titles in AAA games. You know, Rocket League did a really good job, I think. Them going on PlayStation Network exclusively was a huge buff to them, and now they're coming out on Xbox as well. So I think you know that you can turn that into a strength if you do it correctly. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that indie games, they have a lot of strengths, they have a lot of weaknesses, but I think that the good ones are doing them correctly. They're capitalizing on their strengths, minimizing their weaknesses. So let's talk about, real quickly, what are some things that you think indie games cannot provide for you? You know, we've talked a lot about like why we love indie games. We've talked a lot about, you know, their strengths and their weaknesses. What is something you literally cannot get from an indie game? I'm going to start us off. Competition. There is very few indie games that make me just like, I want to feel like I'm better than somebody else at this game. You know, Rocket League and like Super Meat Boy are like two of the few that I could think of that actually offer it. Most of the time, you just play through Braid, and that's it. So for me, that's something that it can't offer to me, and that's one of the reasons I end up tending to lean over to some AAA titles in between bouts of indie games. Chris, what about you?
That's a good one. I can't, you know, I was sitting here thinking about that, and I can't really think of one of the ones was I really like world building done in games, but right. Even if the game is charming enough, I feel like they could build a good enough good enough world, like World of Goo, for instance. I don't know if you guys ever.
Oh
played
yeah,
that
I
one.
played that. I played
that.
that.
That creates a whole like a weird pseudo like Cat in the Hat type Dr. Seussy, like dark Dr. Seussy world in just like a few levels of like goo puzzles.
Sure.
Right? Like,
right.
I don't know. I think that indie games, like what you said, competition, but even then, Dive Kick, that game, the Rivals of Aether.
Nidhogg, like
Nidhogg,
there
That's
are
great.
like competitive indie games, but let's be honest, like they're very few and far between. Like most of the time, they are single player.
Even though they are few and far between, they can still provide it. I'm not going to be playing at the MLG level, right? I don't even watch MLG. I don't watch esports.
Bad.
That's probably it. But I don't watch that stuff. But so you know what I mean? So to me, the competition is in the game itself. Like if I'm playing against somebody, that's competitive enough for me. So to be honest, indie games can provide me with everything I need.
Well, goddamn.
Howdy do.
Dakota, what about you? Anything it can't provide for you?
Well, I think related to the art thing, this idea of like a cinematic, you know, that taboo word, cinematic experience, game that is movie-like in its quality. I think about The Last of Us and go, you know, that kind of shit's just not possible in the indie realm. Indie games are perfectly capable of like making compelling story, you know, but if I'm going to be engrossed in a character and like really believe, you know, and have a deep emotional beats, you gotta have art of a certain fidelity. You have to have high quality voice acting. That's just
Right.
the kind of stuff that an indie title doesn't have the budget for.
See, I feel like it can, but I don't want to mention it because we're going to do our top three, and it's in my top three. So in
Let's
my
just do
top
that.
three, I'm going to mention this conversation topic. So we're going to do a weakest to peakest for indie games. We're going to do our top 3 indie games. It's starting to be like a thing that I think we're going to do. We're just going to mention if we're talking about a specific thing, our top 3 of that. So weakest to peakest, third Staffer, hit me with your number 3.
Third
Best
Staffer.
or favorite indie game.
Well, here's the thing. I made this list a little bit differently because I didn't want to put my favorite indie game of all time is Super Meat Boy. But I mentioned this before, and I'm not going to say it this time. Mm-hmm. So my list of favorite indie games are going to be like games that I think really did a lot for they were games I played that I really liked that also did a lot with what they did. Okay. So my number 3 was Stanley Parable.
Oh, right. That was the one I was gonna mention. Fuck you, Dakota. Stanley Parable has the fucking art fidelity of all your other bullshit. Fuck you.
That game, it's so interesting. Like it knows it's a game. It knows you're a player. It takes what we think of video games and turns it upside down and makes it.
Don't spoil it, because that game is something that if you've never played,
I'm not saying it. Yeah, just
right now.
It changes the way you think about games. It does a lot of stuff. It's fantastic. It's definitely my number 3 because of what it does in the game space. I like it a lot.
That's actually my number 2. That game. Oh my god! I remember when that game first came out. A couple of my friends, I went to this LAN center, and they were like, Mitch, have you played Stanley Parable yet? And I'm like, no. They're like, sit down. I'm not going to say a word to you about it. Come talk to me in a couple hours. And I remember just getting up and going, oh my god, what just happened? This is incredible. And I just did not want to stop playing this game. But it definitely has that cinematic feel that you're talking about, Dakota. It's one of the few that I can think of that does it. But it definitely has a little bit of that cinematic. It obviously doesn't have like a high-quality, amazing voice-acted cutscene like The Last of Us. But the voice acting in that game, Chris, was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I wouldn't call that cinematic.
Some of my favorite.
I would not call it, personally, I wouldn't call that cinematic, but definitely the best, one of the best ways of storytelling in any game.
Oh, fantastic. So that was my number 2. So I'll use that as my number 2 for this round, and I'll do my number 3 next round. Dakota, what was your number 3?
Cool. So I also kind of reduced my list in scope just to kind of hone my ideas. I only did titles from last year, 2015.
Okay.
And I left out Rocket League because it would have been number 1, and we talk about it every goddamn episode.
Yeah, I also left Rocket League out.
Yeah. What kind of, as an aside, what kind of fueled this episode, and also an article I wrote for a couple weeks from now on Bit Cultures, was I heard this dude in my office say, oh, video games are just about graphics. There hasn't been a good video game since the N64. And I was like, whoa. And it's okay that he doesn't know any better. He's just a kind of video game player that plays Call of Duty and Battlefront and Fallout,
Is it okay that he doesn't know any better?
It is okay. It is okay.
Are we going to say that's okay on this podcast?
That sentence.
I'll tell you why it's okay. XKCD's got a really good comic. It's called 10,000, I think. And you look at it this way. Don't ridicule somebody who doesn't know, because then it teaches them to not admit that they don't know. Instead, go, dude, look at this exciting shit I get to share with you. And you get to be the fucking guy that shows him Fez and Braid and Stanley Parable. Okay. So look at it that way. So this one goes out to Justin. This whole episode's for him. So my number 3 from last year, an indie title, is Nuclear Throne. It's just I've mentioned it before, it's a top-down twin-stick shooter. It's got these cheeky little rad mutated characters, a lot of personality. It's very simple. It's not deep on story. It's just kind of like an arcade in-and-out, one-and-done experience. Very fucking hard. I still haven't beaten it yet. But I highly recommend it. It's got great sound design and also just visual design. When you shoot your weapons, the screen shakes. So there's like a lot of haptic feedback. Not haptic, I guess, because you don't feel anything, but feedback visually and through sound design really makes the guns feel like, ooh, they got some meat to them. It's cool. It's a good game.
Awesome. Chris, what is it? 2 Staffer?
No, we'll give you a third. Give me a third. We know what your 2 is.
That's
okay.
his.
My My number 3, Chris, is a game that you and I have played extensively, and a game that prior to you and I playing extensively, yes.
Super Laser Racer.
No, God, no, it was an honorable mention. Super Laser Racer was an honorable bullshit mention. I completely forgot about that game.
I thought it was going to be Winden.
Oh my God, I can't even think right now because you just okay. No, Chris and I played this game quite a bit, and I remember when I first found out about this game, I at the same LAN center played this game and stayed up till about 9 o'clock in the morning the first time I started playing this game. Just a wonderful. This is actually one of the few roguelikes I actually enjoy. Risk of Rain. That game is incredible. That game is just amazing. You pick one of like 10 classes. You have 3 moves and a pseudo ultimate, kind of like one of your guys' ultimates, like on a 6-second cooldown. And you just run around shooting shit and getting experience and getting gold, and then you open up these chests. You just run around having a great time, but then like the levels slowly get harder. Like the goal is to, in every level, is to find a teleporter, then you fight a boss, then you enter the teleporter, you go to the next level. But when you go to the next level, everything gets harder. And also, everything gets harder as time goes on. So you're kind of racing the clock. It's a very interesting game.
But you don't want to go too fast because you want to get all the stuff in the level,
exactly.
kind of.
You got to balance your time and your stuff. It's a wonderful game. And it uses that 8-bit style, too, of art that I love. And Chris, the music in this game is just amazing.
Yeah, the music in that game
it
is
reminds
phenomenal.
me of like StarCraft music, and it's amazing.
Can I ask you a question? Is Binding of Isaac on your list?
Binding of Isaac is not on my list.
Why did you pick Risk of Rain over Binding of Isaac? Like, I'm not saying which one's better. Like, I'm just curious. Like, they're both roguelikes, and I know we both played it a million hours.
Risk of Rain, I don't know. I think it was I couldn't really tell you. I didn't really like Binding of Isaac like that much. Like I liked it. It was a lot of fun, but I never felt like really, really compelled to play that game. Maybe it was because the storyline was so weird and dark. And
was it the multiplayer aspect?
Yeah, I think that might be.
And maybe it was that too. I don't like playing single player games, so that's probably what it is as well.
Yeah.
Like being able to strap up with like 4 of the guys at the LAN center and we all just like run around shooting shit. That was awesome. So maybe that's also what it is. I love multiplayer games. I hate single player games, so that's probably what it is. Binding of Isaac is on my list of honorable mentions. A wonderful game, but Risk of Rain, I just had a lot more fun. I think I also just like...
That's a really good game. I totally forgot about that, and I played a good bit of it with some buddies on the old TeamSpeak too.
Yeah.
It's a great game. All right, so that was my number 3. We already did my number 2. Chris, what's your 2-stuffer?
My number 2, like I said, I have a bunch of indie games that I would put higher than these, but I put these still high because they're really, really great. But I feel like they did a lot. Papers, Please is my number 2.
I knew that one was going to be on your list. I knew it was going to be there.
Papers, Please is fantastic. It's a game where you play as a immigration officer at the border of this fake country, and you have to stamp people's passports. And every level, there's different rules. Like sometimes maybe you're looking for a specific individual. Other times maybe you're looking for you're not allowing people from a certain country. So you're going through all these rule books. It's like work. But the characters, you find out that because of your job, you have a lot of power in certain ways that you would never expect. Like there's different things that happen. Maybe there's I don't want to say it without giving it away, but you can let certain people through at a penalty for your family because you don't get enough money. But you could let certain people in that will have an impact in the country and eventually affect your job in a certain way. And there's a lot of branching pathways depending on who you stop and who you allow in through this immigration center.
I had no idea. I've heard of this game. I'm familiar with it, but
it's unbelievable, like the way that the power that they give to like this. When you started playing this game, you're like, this is so dumb. Like, I'm just stamping passports. And then you have to, like, look and see if there's, like, on their passport, if it says male or female. And if it says male and there's a woman standing there, you'd be like, oh, there's a discrepancy here. And you question them about it. They're like, oh, I don't know how that got there. That's an accident. And you can just be like, boom, you're out. Or they could say something like, "Oh no, I really need to see my daughter. I miss her. I haven't seen her for years." And you could still be like, "Boom, you're out. Follow the rules." Or you'd be like, "You know what? That's all right. I'm going to let this person pass." And you're going to take a hit in your paycheck at the end of the day.
I need to play this with my fiance.
Something else. It's.
I think
my girlfriend loves it. My girlfriend plays it. We play it all the time together, letting people in and out. You got to try it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also uses that 8-bit style as well, which I really like.
Yeah, it's a game that you would never play in any other experience other than the indie platform. It tells a story through minimalistic gameplay in a way you'd never get.
I'm thinking about the AAA version of Papers, Please.
In a world where no one gets past the immigration office, one person has a chance to change everything.
And Chris, this kind of fits into what you were saying, where you really open up the scope of genres that you can tackle. This is just something that you would never fucking do with AAA money, right?
No.
All right, my number two for 2015, of course, my list only 2015 is mentioned before, Crypt of the Necrodancer. I think this was second best, my second favorite indie game of last year. It's so goddamn unique. If you like rhythm games, if you like music at all, you got to jump into this game. It's such a unique treat. I happen to love music and roguelikes. This game is like 6 to midnight for me, man. It's perfect.
Have you played it yet, Mitch? You were saying that's totally
it
up your alley.
Oh God, Mitch!
It sounds like a Mitch game. I need to get.
It's got to be like
shit.
$10 or something like that.
Yeah,
Can I play it on the PlayStation? Because I have no reason to play my PlayStation other than to play Netflix.
Yes, it was just released on the PS4.
Good at Netflix too.
It was just released on the PS4 like 2 weeks ago. So yes,
I might just snag it on there, so I have a reason to touch my PlayStation.
Play Until Dawn.
That's not a euphemism, by the way, either.
Don't play your PlayStation. Let me borrow it and get me Until Dawn also.
Chris, we can have sleepovers with Until Dawn.
Spooky.
Until Dawn! Oh my God!
There you go, Mitch. Wow, that's so fantastic.
Every sleepover is Until Dawn, Mitch.
Not the way I have sleepovers.
Ew. Okay.
All right, Chris, you're number
Mitch?
one. Hit me with
You're number one. We skipped you.
No,
You're
we heard his number two.
Okay,
so now we're on to your number one.
My number one.
Number two.
My number one is Monday Night Combat.
Oh.
Not even Super Monday Night Combat, just regular Monday Night Combat.
God damn it, Chris.
Because of how fantastic that game had, so much charm and so much like it was like a AAA title. The amount of effort put into that game, and I love the way that
until right now.
Yeah, it was made by Uber Entertainment. They've only made like a couple games, 2 being Super Monday Night or like Monday Night Combat titles. But I loved the way that it changed the idea of a MOBA in a way that I feel that still no one else has done. No one has done what Monday Night Combat has done. I don't even know how many years, like 6 years ago. 7 years ago now.
Is it not dissimilar to kind of what people are doing now, and kind of combining the third person perspective?
It
seems similar to what
now.
It seems now, like 7 years ago, they did what people are trying to do
now. Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
It was a third person shooter and fast paced, and you went down a lane, you shot robots, but like when you shot somebody, it wasn't feeling like you were left clicking and then like auto attack it. Like you were actually dodging, rolling, shooting. It felt more like a shooter than it felt like a MOBA. You spent money to buy extra bots to push your lane. You spent like resources to upgrade your different abilities. That game pushed what MOBAs were, and it was so fun. They had 2 announcers that constantly made jokes
the best fucking
the entire time. Like Mickey Cantor, and they'd just be like, one guy was a retired Monday Night Combat veteran and would say like, "Oh, back in my day when in the showers we'd play a game," and it'd be like really weird stuff that was just hilarious that just pop up like,
why am I laughing?
Yeah, like hi-oh, like a bunch of like commentator stuff, like making fun of commentators, and they'd just be going through the whole game, making fun of you if you died, making fun of the other people, how you killed them. The whole game had so much charm, and nothing's been like it since, I feel like.
Until now, games are starting to. But even then, Paragon's going to have the gameplay aspect of it. It's not going to be anywhere near the charm of it. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, like it looks great, but I don't see any game having the charm that Monday Night Combat had.
Never, ever. Dakota, your number one. Touch
All
me.
right, my number one was, of course, Rocket League, but we left Rocket League off. So my number one instead is going to be Invisible Ink. It's another game I've already mentioned on the cast, but I think it was my favorite indie game of 2015. It's by Cly, the same guys that did Don't Starve and Mark of the Ninja. Those guys are killer, man. They make good games, and they're also different too. Invisible Ink, though, similar to XCOM. So if you just got XCOM 2 and you're into the tactical shooter, maybe after your XCOM 2 fatigue wears off and you want to revisit the genre, Invisible Ink is a really cool spin on the genre. It's like XCOM, but it's stealth. So you try to sneak around, and if you get into open conflict, you're probably just going to die. So you don't want to do that. But it's really cool, man. It's got like this futuristic noir vibe to it. It's well voice acted. The art style is like this cool flat vector art. Retro style, not like retro 16-bit, but kind of like noir, kind of like noir movie posters where they're like all vector based. It's kind of like that. It's beautiful. It plays really well. It's got this mechanic where there's a hacking mechanic, so you can basically attack the level on a physical plane, and you can also attack the level on a digital plane. Very well done.
Oh.
It's just a very, very good game. Well, yeah. It's pretty cool.
I'm into it, man. I'm into it. Keep
I'll
going.
have to show you some videos. It's good. I can't recommend it enough. I played the shit out of it. I really did.
Awesome. Well, my number one is a game that I'm guarantee you a lot of you have played, if not at least heard of. There's no real reason why it's my number one. It's just I remember when I saw this game, I was living in Alabama, and something about the way that it didn't tell you anything at all. I played that game and I was just like, what? But it was still just an amazing gameplay, and the way that they just took I don't know. It's a great game. So my number one is Limbo. That game, first of all, the art style of that game is fucking incredible. Like, it's just black, white, and gray, but it's fucking amazing. And the way that they use like that minimalist style with like just the light of eyes of things, incredible.
And you know what's of note here is, as I listed art fidelity as a weakness, they turned a weakness of indie games into a strength.
Exactly. Yeah. They took that and they made it charming, and they made it just amazing, and they used it in a way that you don't see in a lot of other games. And what I loved about it is they literally they don't tell you anything. You're just like, here you are, go. Like, and you just gotta like go. You just start. I remember when I first started playing the game, I didn't really know what was going on, and I like walked around for a while, and I didn't really know what I was doing. and then like you don't really know. It
sounds
why
like you in most games.
Yeah, but God damn it. No, but you don't really know why you're doing what you're doing. So the whole time it's like this giant blur, and you're just trying to figure out like, what the goal here is, while also figuring out these like puzzles that don't really seem like puzzles, and just like the way that they did things with the continuous spider boss, just incredible, just a wonderful game that the moment I started playing it, I did not stop until I beat it, like from start to finish. I just could not put it down. So I was late for work for that one. It was
nice. That's the mark of a good game, isn't it?
It was a wonderful experience. It was a great 4 hours.
When it makes you forego your responsibilities.
Yeah, yes. I got a buddy at work that sometimes he'll be like, "Yeah, I was finishing up a little session before the meeting on the phone this morning." It's like, all right, buddy.
Do we have any quick honorable mentions?
Yeah, honorable mentions for me. Nidhogg. God damn, that game is so much fun.
Oh, yeah, that little sparring game.
Yeah, little 8-bit jousting game. Incredible.
That's so great.
Yeah.
My like I said, Super Meat Boy is my number one. My honorable mention, if I had to pick, that was pretty good. My honorable mention, if I had to pick one, would be Hotline Miami.
Another game. Hotline Miami was number 4. When I was asking for more, I asked Dakota, please, can we do a top 5? I don't have enough slots. There are too many games that I love. Hotline Miami was number 4. I had to cut it.
Yeah. The amount of art, the style oozing from that game felt like the 80s, and like how dark it was and how trippy that game was. It really felt like a weird 80s movie. I loved it. And Binding of Isaac, of course. The music. Phenomenal music.
Oh, it's so rad.
And especially how after the level, I love how there was no music.
Yes.
You go through this level massacring people, and there's just blood and guts everywhere, and it's pumping. And then as soon as you're done, you have to walk out through the whole level without any music and just see what you did.
Step over all the dead
without
bodies.
yeah
Yep.
without any,
Yep.
it's such a brutal game. I loved it. Also, why Binding of Isaac is also one of my honorable mention. Not going to go into that, but
my honorables, just one. Fez came out
Oh,
last
yes.
year,
Incredible game.
and
Great.
the only reason it's an honorable mention for me is because I haven't played it yet. I haven't.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Hurry up!
I've done
I'm not
so
gonna
much
lie to you.
research around the game, so I know a lot about it, and it just looks like one of the most incredible things that came out.
That's one of the few games I like to try and pride myself on the fact that when I play a game, I beat it all the time. That's one of the few games I just started playing and I just didn't beat it.
Wow.
The puzzles in that game just didn't do it for me. Like I know that it's a phenomenal game. Like just by seeing it, I liked the puzzle. The way that everything was fantastic. But there were a lot of, for me, the puzzles were too obscure, and I just at this point I don't have time to go through looking through all of them. Like it was too difficult. There wasn't a map with an objective for at least me to tell where I was. Right? Like
Yeah,
the game is a giant world, and I lost. If you don't play it like nonstop day after day, and I wasn't able to do that, I just got lost. I couldn't tell what I was doing in it anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit.
So that was my problem. If you could go through it, phenomenal. Keep going with it.
Let's move over to the metabet because I'm sure we're all eager to see what happened. All right, Dakota, hit me with some knowledge.
All right, the metabet, for those of you that don't know, is the game where we bet on the scores of a Metacritic video game review. Last week, I lost. So who assigned me this challenge? Was it kind of both of you guys, right?
It was kind of both. Mitch picked Overwatch, and we kind of worked.
Who won? Let's just give a little reminder about who won.
Christopher won.
Christopher
No, you won. You won.
No, I won. Fuck yeah, that's bad.
I wanted to celebrate whoever won. You
that's
didn't
right.
even
No,
remember.
Firewatch was super low, and I was the lowest. I remember we were all sad. I was too sad to remember. That's right.
I wasn't.
That's right. So these guys collectively assigned me the stipulation in Overwatch. I got to play Reinhardt. It's the hard ledge knocks for us. So what I did was I played Reinhardt as often as I could to knock people off the ledges, specifically to suicide off of ledges and catch people. I think specifically I was assigned I needed to do 2 a day, I think. You guys, you started with 2 a day. You may have went down to 1. I'm not sure. I didn't even play every day, but every day that I did play, anytime a map rotated to a map that has ledges, I was all Reinhardt, baby. I got a few. I got a few, and I got some clips of a few, not to share today, but I do have clips that I'm gonna smash together. I had a lot of good footage that got fucked up, and I was pissed, man. There was this one moment where I'm waiting down this hallway that I know there's a ledge at the end. Dude comes around the corner, boom, hit the charge button. I'm charging, I catch the guy, but the distance from where I caught him in the ledge was so great that my charge actually finished before I got to the ledge. I didn't even know that that happened. I thought he just charged indefinitely until he hit something.
You're explaining to me now brand new information.
Always a learning moment with the metabet. So not the case. I charged, caught a dude, carried him a good 50 yards, stopped just shy of the ledge. I said, shit. I sidestepped off of the guy, and then I see an enemy Reinhardt go blasting up behind me, trying to catch me. Off of the edge. Off of the edge.
Oh my god!
At that point, I was close, so he was trying to catch me with the same move and missed as I moved away.
That's the best thing.
But yeah, I got a few. I missed a lot. It was fun. It was good, you know. So I enjoyed that metabet. I enjoyed the metabet most because it wasn't like every fucking round I had to do it. It's like, well, this map doesn't even have ledges, so I can do whatever I want. So
I guess that's what we aim to do here with the metabet: annoy you, but still make you have a little fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a happy medium to be found, right?
Yes.
So last week,
closer to it.
we are. Last week we bet on Street Fighter V for the PlayStation 4.
Oh god, that's right. I forgot about this, and now I'm remembering how bad my score was. Oh. God.
Well, if you will recall, I said that I couldn't understand how anybody could review this game poorly. Keep in mind that all the reviews came out before all of this network nonsense came out, so they don't reflect that whole shebang.
Damn it! That was my only chance.
That said, I will tell you, Mitch, a lot of the features that I thought were going to be included in the release were postponed for a patch a month out or a patch 3 months out. And so the single-player game is quite anemic. On the day of release, based on 32 review scores, Street Fighter V has a Metacritic score of 82, making Mitch not only the winner, but he was right on the spot the winner, which means he gets to assign.
Let's recap the scores.
I had 92, Chris had 89, and Mitch had 82. So Mitch, you got it exactly right.
On the money. Right. Oh, I'm going to crush both of you nerds with your high scores.
Mitch gets to assign a stipulation to both Christopher and I. And I think the best way you can do this, Mitch, I am the victim here, so you get the last say, but I think you gotta like pit us against one another in some way.
That's what I was actually just thinking that. I kind of want to pit you guys against each other here.
Like a 1v1 Rocket League or something like that.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you like that? Something like that. Something
of this nature, but see that doesn't the metabet is a video game challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm trying to think of games that you both play, and also that would make me have a good time watching you fail at. Aren't you both playing Crypt of the Necrodancer?
I have it installed, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be.
I'm not sure what you would do with that.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at in the
Well, it's a roguelike, so every time you die you have to start over from level 1 again. So there's no real progression to be had. There's a little bit, but can you what?
Can you beat the game?
I haven't beaten the game, but it's possible.
You can beat it.
Yeah, there's only 4 worlds, so it's possible.
Can I challenge you guys to race to beat the game?
Yeah. Chris, you down?
Is that a thing?
All right.
Well, how far is he from beating? What zone are you on?
Didn't you just say you start over? I thought you just said
he's asking me. Are you asking me how far I've gotten, Chris, or do you want to?
Because there's an endless mode, but there's also the basic mode where there's like 4 world zones.
Yeah.
And you can only unlock the endless mode when you do all the 4 world zones separately.
Right. So in this challenge, we wouldn't be using the staircases that drop us into the furthest progress, but we'd be going into staircase 1 every time. So you always start from level 1. There's like light progression, Mitch, to be completely, specific. There's light progression. You can be like, oh, I'm going to upgrade my armor, so the next time I go through, I'm a little better. What do you want to do about that?
Huh.
He looks so bewildered.
It's so
there's a lot more to this game than I thought.
Yeah, this is the hard one.
Play fucking Rocket League or something.
But we always do Rocket League. I don't want to do Rocket League.
We could do a Diablo thing.
The Hearthstone challenge against one another.
Make a character in a certain amount of time.
Challenge.
Or Hearthstone challenge.
Do a goddamn Hearthstone. We haven't touched Hearthstone in a long time.
We haven't. We could do like the Tavern Brawl against one another when it comes out or something like that. Best of 5 Tavern Brawl.
Here's what I want to do. You can do as many runs as you want. I want screenshotted the highest arena run from now until next Tuesday.
Okay, I like it.
Shit.
I'm down.
Yeah.
It's Chris's.
What happens if we lose?
That
TBD. TBD.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, we can think
that's
about
fun.
I'll let you. I'm gonna talk to Louisa. We're gonna come up with a good punishment for you two.
Suggestion in chat: loser has to get a nipple piercing. Chris,
I like that suggestion.
Do you have any bare nipples left?
My 4th one.
Okay.
Your 4th nipple is a bare nipple?
Yeah. It's next to my panther nipple.
Okay. Let's vote on this next goddamn game.
All right, next game. New game for next week. We're going to be betting on Far Cry Primal. Comes out a week from
this game
today.
looks really good. This game looks really good.
It looks all right.
You look all right.
I do.
I've got my number.
For the PS4?
Yeah, PS4. We'll keep it consistent.
The holy grail of consoles.
I've got my number written down in chat.
Hold on. Okay. Shit. Okay. Okay. All right, I got it. No. Okay, now I have it.
I got it.
Christopher.
Okay, I've got mine.
I did switch on my phone for some reason. I don't know why.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, did I send it?
No, you didn't send it. What is it?
It logged me out. I hit 83.
83. Okay, so you guys
we
are
both hit
tied.
83. Oh, no.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So I've got 86.
locked
Chris
me up.
and Mitch have 83, which
Damn
means
it, I almost put 84 and last second changed it to 83.
so if I win, I get to double assign,
I
right?
almost put 82.
Yes, you
Yep.
get to double the sign. What happens if we win?
Then you get to double assign me.
We each assign
Yeah, you get
one,
2
right?
games.
Yeah, we assign you 2 metabet challenges because each one of us won.
I guess so. Yeah. Have we had that scenario happen?
No,
we
we
haven't
haven't
had
had
this
this
happen
scenario yet.
23
Interesting.
episodes deep, and this is the first time we've had the same number.
Interesting.
I
Well,
feel like we've had this before, no, actually.
We had it where both of us lost, maybe.
No, okay, yeah, that's I like this. Louisa puts in chat, make him play Diablo with us. Yeah, if you lose this metabet, we're gonna fucking make you play Diablo, you piece of
it's not that I
shit.
don't
Yeah.
want to. It's fucking time difference, man. It's tough. But yeah, we'll go for it.
Well, we'll just fly you here for a week. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's the metabet's going real deep. This is a real deep metabet. Oh man. All right, guys. Well, as always, Analog Stick Radio is brought to you by BitCultures. Now, BitCultures is a site that features video game reviews, opinion pieces, and digital media just like this show. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, check everything out at www.bitcultures.com. Now, if you want to reach us rad guys, you can email us at analogstickradio@gmail.com or tweet us at ASR Podcast. These are very difficult to remember. I really hope you wrote them down. We record every Tuesday night right here, twitch.tv/analogstickradio, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. We're published the following Thursday to iTunes and all your favorite podcast trackers. So make sure you subscribe. We're going to post a link in the chat as well. Subscribe, leave some comments. All of that shit does good for us. So help us out. Come on, help me, help you. Guys, any parting words?
No.
Nah?
Mosquitoes don't exist in Iceland. So there's no
And
Zika
on
there.
that note, once again, I'm Mitch. For myself, Chris, and Dakota, this has been Analog Stick Radio. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.